What's going on, guys? JPB Duo here. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. And for today's video, as requested, I'm gonna do the decklist profile for my Prunes or Pranks on Crack, aka Runick prank kids. So I do apologize about not being able to stream for 2 days in a row. Also, not being able to upload YouTube videos. My schedule was all out of whack. Did not have any time to do anything, and I had a lot of personal emergencies in the family that I had to deal with as well. So I do apologize about it. But with that being said, let's get on with the deck list review. Now, it's gonna be a 40 cards deck list, right? But you guys can easily make this a 45, 50, or even a 60 cards deck list if you guys want to go through that route. But for consistency purposes, I stuck to a 40 cards deck list. Now, don't get me wrong, the 45 cards version deck list was pretty good as well, but I again like the 40 cards version. Also, with that being said, let's get the pranks engine out of the way. So we have, as usual, 2 copies of Fansies, 3 of Dropsies, 3 of Lamsies, 2 of Roxies. Then we have 2 copies of Prankage Plays, 1 copy of Pandemonium, and 1 copy of Pranks. That's the full Prank Kits engine you have for the main deck list. Now let's get the hand traps and other spell cards out of the way as well. We have 3 Ash Blossoms, we have 2 Call by the Graves. That's pretty much it for the, I guess, hand traps. You could say hand traps is only the Ash Blossom that you do play. But going first, Call by the Grave technically does become a hand trap. So the other cards we play are the Nemesis Corridor, 1 of Corridor, because in case you draw into it, you can use it to go into Butler, or, I mean, you're not playing Predaplan Verte with this version, so you can take it out. It's up to you. I like it because if I draw into it, it becomes a huge combo extension, allows you to play through Nib and stuff like that. And also 1 copy of Corridor, you could easily go up to 2 or even 2 copy of Corridor and 1 of the Nemesis Flag as well, which I use in my original Prank Kits deck list. But for consistency purposes, I'm cutting it down to 1 as well. Then we have 1 Instant Fusion, again, really great tool for combo extension, and 2 copies of the Cosmic Cyclone. Again, Cosmic Cyclone is a really good card against Runicks, gets rid of their field spell immediately, and no more troubles for you. With those cards out of the way, now we have the Runicks engine. We have 2 copies of Fountain, we have 3 copies of Tip, we have 2 copies of the Flashing Fire, 2 copies of the Destruction, 3 copies of the Freezing Curses, we have 2 of the Slumber, 1 of the Golden Droplet, and 1 of Dispelling. Once again, these ratios are specifically skewed in a way that I like them. So if you guys want to do another type of ratio, you guys can. If you guys want to do 3 field spells, you guys can. If you guys want 3 of, let's say, back row destruction, so 3 of Runick destruction, you guys can go for that and put the Freezing Curses at 2. That's totally your call. I like the list the way it is because, again, it's my personal preference. Because once again, you will be facing off against a bunch of players that do run the Runick engine or just pure Runicks. So against those kinds of people, you want the Freezing Curses more because that allows you, basically this card becomes an imperm if you go first, right? So it negates out the Hugin, it negates out the Moonin, negates out even the Gary. So that's your call if you guys want to do 3-2 or 2-3. Again, total up to preference. So that's going to be the main deck list you guys can run. I mean, once again, you guys can add in another engine in here if you guys want to go for that 60 cards list. As I told you guys previously, you guys can bump this whole list up to a 60 cards. You guys can throw in the adventure engine in here. If you guys want to cut out access code and unicorn from your extra deck, you guys can even throw in your DPE engine in here and just have fun with it. With that, let's go to the extra deck. Now I will tell you guys how this whole combo works once I'm done with the deck list, okay? So for the extra deck, we have 1 copy of the Hugin, 1 copy of Gary, and that's pretty much it for the Runick engine. Once again, you guys can play around with these ratios. That's totally up to you. Originally, when I designed this deck list with my chat, I had 2 Hugins and I did not have Totally Awesome. But Totally Awesome is such an accessible card. It's such an easy card to put on the field, right? You go into Panday, you go into Butler on your opponent's turn, you get 2 copies of Dropsies, pop your opponent's field, and on your turn, as long as 2 Dropsies are on the field, that's an instant Omni-Negate on the field for you. And it's pretty crucial because once you go first and you use the Runick's engine, your battle phase in turn 3 will not be accessible. So what you want to do is put as many disruptions and omnis on the field as possible to negate your opponent's turn on turn 4 and on turn 5 OTK them. So that's the whole idea. I mean, the game can stretch out. If the opponent keeps having gas in their hand, it can stretch out to turn 5, 6, 7, 8. Usually that's how the games go for me. The games stretch out till turn 5 or 6, and then I kill my opponent, or they just leave the game because I put too much disruption on the field. So to that, we have 1 Rocket Ride, we have 1 Weather Washer, 1 of the Thunder Dragon Colossus. Once again, from the Nemesis card, I am running the Colossus, and also you can bump up the Nemesis cards to 2 to 3. That's your call. That's again depends on how much you want to draw into the corridor, because the Prank Kids combo guarantees gives you 1 banish, right? As long as you have another monster in your hand to banish off of the Roxy's, it's going to be a guaranteed corridor activation into Colossus. So it's just a matter of how desperate are you for a card search luck. I'm not that desperate, so I'm only running 1 corridor. Then we have our main monster, our Prank Kids Butler, 1 copy of Totally Awesome, and this card right here is extremely important. This is the card that will allow you to go into your Prank Kids combo after you have gone through your Runick's combo, the Gravity Controller. Now, you guys can switch out the Gravity Controller for the Linkuriboh. I mean, Linkuriboh is a UR card, Gravity Controller is a rare card, so that's your call. Gravity Controller states it requires a 1 non-link monster in an extra monster zone to go into this card. And your Runick fusion monsters will always summon in the extra monster zone. So you go the whole combo. Well, excuse me, I'll tell you the whole combo once I'm done with the extra deck. So we have 1 Meowmoo, 2 Doodly-Doos, 1 Bow Wow, pretty standard stuff, 1 Unicorn, 1 Roaster, and 1 access code for the OTK potential. Again, you guys can mess around with the extra deck list, that's your call. I find this pretty ideal, so I'm sticking with it. Now, the whole combo with the Runick Prank Kids is if you go first, you activate your Runick cards first. If you have the Runick cards in hand, you activate your Runick cards first. You never ever just go into your Prank Kids combo first, because we are not running as many hand trap negations as we usually do, right? We have no cross out. We do not have, what was it? I mean, we have Call by an Ash, but we don't have cross out. We don't have Maxi either. So, what you want to do is, if you have Runick's, you activate your Runick's cards first. You go into your Hugin. Hugin will search you for your Fountain, and then you activate 1 more card, and that way your Fountain will be activatable. Sorry, your Hugin will discard 1 card from your hand, search you for your Fountain, you activate Fountain, and then you get your recycle off. In that whole situation, what ends up happening is that if your opponent has Maxi, they will instantly Maxi you on your special summon of the Hugin. Because, again, Runick players, they don't special summon much. So that instantly baits out Maxi. As for why that is crucial, is because if you're playing at a high enough level, people will know that Meowmoo is at 1, and they will wait for you to commit your Meowmoo to the play on your Prank Kids play, and then Maxi you, and that Maxi hurts way more than a Maxi on, let's say, your normal summon of Prank Kids when you don't commit your Meowmoo. Because once Meowmoo's on the field, you cannot recycle it, and Prank Kids usually don't put as many Omni Negates or card negations on the field as, let's say, Dragon Links do. We only have board disruptions on the field, right? So that you cannot take the Maxi challenge at that point. So what Runick does is that if you activate Runick cards first, you go into Hugin, your opponent does Maxi you instantly. That means you do not need to show your opponent you are playing Runick Prankets. You do not need to show your opponent the Prankets part. You do not need to commit your Meowmo to the play to get the Maxi out. Another thing is that it baits out Imperm as well. Now in this deck list, we are not playing Predaplan Vertec, so we cannot play through Imperm Veiler on our Doodly-Doo, right? If they Imperm Veiler your Doodle-Doo, if you do not have another Prank's name in your hand to go into your Butler, aside from the one you use into your combo, you will not be able to probably go into Butler at that point. Let's be honest, because you need the Verte to go into Butler if your opponent Veiler Imperms your Doodle-Doo Search, unless you start with a Pranks or Panday in hand, which, let's be honest, the chances are pretty low. You're earning one of each. So that's another con to this deck list, but again, you guys can fix that. If you guys don't want to run Roaster or Weather Washer, you take one out and you can put in the Verte in there, which would allow you to play through Imperm Veiler as well. So that's your call completely. So with that being said, the Ash Blossom will usually be used up. If they have Ash Blossom, they will for sure use up Ash Blossom on any one of your Runick cards. So they probably will use it up on your Fountain Recycle. So that takes care of that. 100%. They will use Ash Blossom on the Fountain Recycle. That's out of the way, right? Then you go into your Prankets combo. Now, your extra monster zone is occupied by a fusion monster already, which would be your Hugin. Because if you don't start with Fountain in your hand, you have to go into Hugin to search for it with a pitch. This card right here takes care of the whole problem. Gravity Controller states that it needs a 1 non-link monster in an extra monster zone, and by attributing that, you could put this card in the field. Your Hugin is a non-link monster in the extra monster zone, so Gravity Controller can just go over the Hugin, and Gravity Controller has an arrow that points bottom right. Right there, you see, it points bottom right, so it takes care of the whole situation in the scenario that you do not have the link spot anymore, right? You will have an open link spot that the Gravity Controller points to. Now, if you guys want to pull a 2-card full combo with this Prankets after Gravity Controller, you ideally want to put the Gravity Controller going first on the right extra monster zone. So let's say the extra monster zone that's going to be right here, the right one, that's where you want to put the Gravity Controller at, because your Doodle-Doo's arrows, they point bottom and to the right, to the left, bottom and to the left. So if you put your Gravity Controller in the left monster zone, you will only have one monster zone open right here, and if your Doodle-Doo goes right here, it has no more spots on its left. So instead, what you want to do is put the Gravity Controller on the right extra monster zone, so Doodle-Doo goes in the middle exactly, and Doodle-Doo will point to another monster zone on its left, which will be open as well. So if you want to pull a 2-card full combo with this, you need to do it that way. But again, make it a habit of putting it on the right so you have more link spots open. That's going to be the whole way to play around the extra monster zone lock. So once you get the Runick part going, that's how you go into your Prankets combo off of the Gravity Controller. That's going to be your full play. Now, the whole combo for Prankets, you guys already know how to do them. So you go through the full combo, you get your Pandemonium, you set your Pranks on the field, set down Panday, and then at the end of the turn, you pass it over, your opponent does all his stuff. By the time your opponent does all his stuff, again, you will be drawing, I believe, 2 cards, right? One through your Roxy's Banish plus Draw, and one through your Prankets Pranks Recycle. Now, usually, if your opponent ashes your Fountain Recycle plus Draw, it wouldn't matter as much because you will still be drawing one extra card and recycling 1 card. So if one of those cards turns out to be a Runick card, you're good to go. Your Fountain will become online again, right, on your opponent's turn. So if your opponent does not do that, you are going to generate an insane card advantage because you cycle through your cards so fast, and you keep drawing additional cards, additional cards, additional cards. And with that cycle, you might even draw into a Thunder Dragon Fusion for your next turn. You could draw into your Corridor to recycle out your Meowmoo into Colossus Card Search Lock on your opponent, which is pretty insane. You could end up drawing into your Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion means that it's basically rocket right into pulling out 2 cards into Access Code. Pretty insane stuff, right? You could draw into a bunch of different things. So it's pretty ridiculous. Also, this deck almost never breaks. When I say that is because think about this. Even though we're running 40 cards, we're only running, let's count, we have 10, so 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 combo starter cards we're running, right? But if you, like, any of these single cards is a full combo for prank kids. But if you brick on your Runick engine, what ends up happening, I don't know if I told you guys before, is that on the Fountain Recycle, the Recycle can actually end up drawing you into your Prank Kids combo starter, and that way your full Prank Kids combo is in your hand. Boom, right there. So like, even if you brick on Runick, it's not a brick, you might end up drawing into your Prank Kids combo, right? So it's pretty ridiculous. That's another thing I want to talk about to you guys with this deck list, with the Prunes. And that being said, I guess you guys can try this deck list out. You guys can tell me which version you went for, which cards you switch around in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you guys don't think it's too, out there, too toxic, because with the way I played it, I found it pretty funny. My opponents were pretty confused when I hit them with the pranks after the Runick, because let's be honest, the hand trap bait outs is pretty insane. They would use their Ash, they would use their Imperm, they would use the Maxi, and then afterwards you go into a pranks combo and they're sitting there wondering what just happened. Where is my board? Because if you go through Runick's combo and then pull off a 2-card Prank Kids full combo, and your opponent has nothing in response to it, you just win the game. If they said back row, you pop it with Roaster. If they put monsters, you pop it with Butler. And the next turn, you have Totally Awesome to stall out one more turn. And by the time they're done, they will have no cards in hand. And your Runick engine will generate such a huge advantage for you that you will not have to worry about your cards. So with that being said, I'm going to end this video over here for today. If you guys have any questions about this or comments, do let me know in the comment section below. This is Chippy Doodle signing out for today. I'll be seeing you all in the next video, guys. Peace.